Okay, 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock. Time for a seltzer water. Yeah.
That's the idea. That's not one of the guys.
Well, I know what okay, everybody, it is delightful to see so many people in person. That's super cool. Just a reminder for folks who have come into the room in the last minute or so. We've got a mic at the top of the room here that picks up a lot of sound. So if you need to have a side conversation, I'd love for you to take it outside. Otherwise, everybody else is going to get to enjoy it too, and that's cool. My name is Amy Hawkins. It's a pleasure to have you here at the Ballpark Community Council meeting for February 2026. Welcome, welcome. Hi, Jeff Olson. Lovely to see you. Great. This is exciting, guys. It's almost like pre-pandemic hybrid times. Let's see. Okay, we've got a pretty good agenda here today. We're being joined by our new Salt Lake Police Department detective. Come on in. If you want to join the Ballpark Community Council meeting, if you're looking for testing services or Salt Lake Community College class, that's somewhere else. Nice. Okay. Yes, we're joined tonight by our detective, by our City Council Member Erika Carlsen in her official capacity, not just our neighbor and friend, the Community Reinvestment Agency, and also the Republican hands. This is weird. Seats are filling up. I know you can't appreciate that out in the world, guys, but this is really exciting. Okay.
Be in town.
I know. Well, what's a birdie? All right. We are joined by, I see 3 board members in the room so far. Is that right? There's myself. There's Jeff. Not Jeff Olson, other Jeff. Jeff Sandstrom. Jeffs enjoy each other. And also Janice Lou. Thank you, Janice. What have we been up to in the past? Let's see. Can I share my screen? Like a champion. It's just not up. Shared. It worked. Maybe. Okay. So we've been up to a few things in the past month. Thank you guys for folks who joined us in January for our 1-item meeting. That was about this housing authority rezone. We met for almost an hour. It was pretty exciting. People really got out their feelings about rezones in the Ballpark neighborhood. Get to do it again tonight. Jeff Sandstrom and I went to the Planning Commission meeting and presented public remarks about reflecting what we heard at the meeting, mostly in favor of the rezone. And we were surprised that the Planning Commission went not only in favor of the rezone, but in fact recommended a higher zone. So instead of MU8, which is what the applicants, the Housing Authority of Salt Lake City requested, the Planning Commission recommended instead of MU5, they recommended MU8, so another 3 stories or so. The process is not done. The process goes to City Council next, where they get to actually make a decision about whether or not to accept the Planning Commission's recommendation. Again, this is a view of that property. So as you can see, it is bordered by both MU8 and MU11. Right now it has 3 zones. We want it to be 1 to make everything less confusing. Please, hi.
Hi.
Would you like to come in?
Okay, well, distribute.
Is it going to break the fire code if you Welcome, fire department. Other things that we've been up to this month, we attended the mayor's State of the City address and learned about the new plan for the civic, what will become the civic center. So having the city library site and library square kind of be in more conversation with Washington Square, where the city and county, where the city and county building is. We want it to be greener. All those hard pavers are not serving us as a city. It's making it hot and inhospitable. So they hope to bring the green that's in Washington Square Park across the street. I think that'll be exciting to see. I like to go to the library a lot. Adam, it sounds like you feel the same way.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What else have we been up to? We went and engaged on the new Ballpark Library Lab, right? There's been a lot of imagining going on about what will our new potential library look like? What will it have? The Urban Indian Center hosted that event. I know I saw some of you there. Thank you. And finally, I believe both Janice and Jeff were at today's public safety meeting with the Salt Lake Police Department to talk about community safety issues. Any recaps from that, Jeff and Janice?
I think it was a real productive meeting. It was nice to get to know some of those people. They had representatives from the Housing Authority, the Gail Miller Homeless Resource Center, and others. But it was, everybody just brought anything to the attention of the police department that needed to be talked about, and so it was short but good.
Terrific. Normally we, unless anybody else from the board has a what we've been up to in the past month, that's a lot for a month, right? In addition to like running a community council meeting. Normally I'd like to let where's your uniform?
Go and have an award
That's
later
what
on,
I said.
surveillance.
I was gonna say, are you coming here on your free time?
No,
Don't do that.
But I'm still collateral on that violent crime team, and we have a warrant later tonight, so you might be doing surveillance.
I see. I'd like, if you are handling a warrant tonight, I think that,
It's not for a while, so it doesn't, if there's someone needs to go before me, something else, it's totally good.
fire department, can you give us the hits before we move on to our community detective?
So, February is Heart Awareness Month. Sorry, I know they're do a little more. Looking at my notes, we're gonna have a busy day today, unfortunately.
Heart Awareness Month.
Heart Awareness Month.
So
Yep.
be careful when we shovel all that snow.
So heart disease, cardiac arrest remain a major public health challenge. There's more.
If you'd like to, I know it's sort of impossible to see, but hold on, let me stop sharing slides. But there's actually a camera in the back room that kind of focuses up here. If you'd like to come more to
Like
that,
that, sure.
the online world could get a look
Get a
at you.
view of us.
Yes.
Thank you. Sorry, we're a little tardy. We had a call just before this came in. So
Not at all.
my name is Scott Baskin at Station 8. This is the crew of Truck 8.
Welcome to Station 8.
We're just right over by the ballpark. That's why we're here. Any quick questions right offhand before I get into a few things? So Heart Awareness Month, more than 350,000 out of hospital cardiac arrests a year. So we all know seconds and minutes can make a difference. So if you call somebody, you call 911. Oh, that's back. Report somebody's having cardiac arrest. Stay on the line, and dispatch can walk you through CPR if you don't know it, or if you're not comfortable, then they can walk you through what other steps to take. AEDs, everybody's familiar with the automated external defibrillators. Little packs, probably several here in the college. You know where they are, or if you where you work, things like that. Those can make a big difference as well. But if you see somebody collapse and you suspect cardiac arrest, call 911 right away, and then start trying to figure out what else is going on. Other than that, we're hiring. So you guys, if anybody's interested, for our August recruit class, both firefighters, and we're also hiring our single role medical response paramedics. And all they do is paramedic calls. They don't do any of the firefighting stuff. So we've been busy. There is a new communications and knowledge hub. I don't know if you're aware of it, My SLC. It's an app that's available. So
We love my
Okay.
SLC.
okay, perfect.
Everything from shopping carts to, potholes, all the good stuff.
So I know it's kind of quick and dirty, but do you guys have any questions or concerns or anything for us? Yes, sir.
I had a question about, I was curious if a person ever wants to come to a fire station to ever ask you guys any kind of questions. Is there a place there where you can walk in, or how does that work?
All of our stations have doorbells. So they're not, all our stations are locked, but if somebody's there, you can ring the doorbell and then we invite people in and talk to them.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you had like make an appointment or
No.
anything like that.
No, just we prefer during business hours, if at all possible, so that 9 to 4-ish, 9 to 5-ish. Just in case we're out doing something else, or, after those hours, before those hours, we're trying to get the house work done, check our apparatus and things like that. Anything else? We do accept law enforcement as well to join the fire department. I mean, very few of us ever go to the dark side, but. Okay, well, thank you very much. If you guys think of anything while we're still here, then let us know. We'll hang out for a little while.
Got a question
Oh.
about ages. What's the
18.
18?
And as far as max, I think the oldest we've had so far is 47. So we have not, I don't know that we've turned anybody away that's been able to do the job. But keeping in mind that it is a 20 to 30-year career. Yeah. So any other questions? Okay.
We thank you for your service.
Well, thank you. We'll hang out for a little bit and then once run back in the city, we'll duck out.
It's
We'll
always,
just be right out in the hall. You wanna grab mine?
always lovely to see your door open as well.
Yeah, come on, guys.
And the weather's basically warm enough to do that.
Yes, it is. Yeah, at any point in time, you guys feel free to stop by.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. President, you're up. Detective?
It's roughly here. Okay, yeah, we've had, numbers are looking pretty good through the district so far for the year, so fingers crossed, we're, cognizant that the weather warms up, that might pick back up, so we're trying to keep our foot on the gas, keep hyper aware of like what's going on in certain areas, all the hot spots and that stuff. There was one incident, I know she brought up on Sunday. I don't know if you guys saw, there was a lot of cop cars. It was a Sunday afternoon, I think around 4 o'clock on State Street. And that was a shooting. It's not like an ongoing thing, as I always phrase this, a love triangle with some of our local drug enthusiasts. And ex-boyfriends, ex-girlfriend with new boyfriend decided to crank around off at them. Gotta give a shout out to the bike guys. They were doing one of their saturations in the area and they were close enough to actually hear the shot go off, be there and snag the guy with it blocks. I mean, they'd like immediate apprehension.
All
yeah,
hail
it's-
Alan Christensen's crew.
Yeah, so Sunday might have been one of the other ones, might have been Scott Robinson's. I can't remember exactly which one, but it was one of the bike units was doing their thing down there. And
Yes.
we're on it immediately. And so that guy immediately caught. He's got a warrant out of California as well, so we won't be seeing him for a minute. And yeah, handled about as well as you can expect. And it was really pretty great. Are there any things cropping up new you guys are seeing in the area? I mean, I know there's the usual things around the ballpark, Major Street, the vacant houses, things like that we've been hitting. Anything that's standing out or is picked back up in a certain area, anything like that?
Is there anything going on over at the Odyssey House?
Not, not that I can think of like out of the ordinary. I mean, it seems like that's quieted way down around there and talking to them. It seems like they're seeing a similar thing and they're there every day. We've also got a little west, you guys, the youth VOA around 9th South, 4th West, and same thing. It's been relatively quiet there. I mean, with that clientele, there's like the occasional like scuffle or something like that. But other than that, it's been pretty good. So yeah, no, like I said, fingers crossed, it's looking good. But yeah, we are cognizant. We're trying to keep on it and keep that momentum going, in the summer here. I don't know if there are any questions from the online.
Online world, do you have any questions for a detective?
We're also hiring. We pay better than the fire guys. You gotta be 21, he's not 18.
I'll throw your contact information into the chat.
We have guns.
I'm not sure if folks you've been in the department for a while. You're replacing Sam Fallows, who is still gonna be in the neighborhood.
Yeah, he took over as if you guys knew Sam Fowles before, he took over Nate Miner's spot over a homeless resource squad. And so, yeah, you'll still be seeing him around. He's hard to miss. If you haven't met him, he's enormous.
In a nice way.
Yeah, super good guy, but enormous. Yeah, big guy.
All right, I am pulling your information out the email signature so I can throw it into the chat. if I can.
No, definitely.
Maybe
Yeah, 'cause I think they still have his info on the website, so that's probably good to throw it out there. So he doesn't get it.
that might take me a second. Do you want to say it out loud just for funsies?
That's gordon.swift@slc.gov. My cell number is 385, and she'll put it up there. It's 385-414-3483. The city council person got it. I mean, it's out there, so it's not like, I tend trying to be out and about in the areas, checking my problem areas. And if I like we get something reported, I try and go like see it in person and evaluate it, because I don't think you can do that real well from a desk in this gig. And so, yeah, the cell number and the email are a good way to get a hold of me, because I'm typically on about and not down.
What did you say the cell again?
385-414-3483.
Thank you.
Yeah. And typically, I'm here Monday through Thursday. I mean, it varies a bit depending on what we've got going on, the problems we're addressing. But again, yeah, shoot me a text, email anytime, like, I'll see it pretty quick.
Do we have any coffee with a cop events coming up? I know we just had one.
One of the other council meetings said there was one coming in February, but I haven't seen it on the website yet, so they knew more than I did, to be honest. I don't know. You can pull the website up real quick.
Yeah, I think there might be one.
See if they've updated it.
There might be one in the Adams Asher
Yeah,
Hotel. Does that sound
something like
familiar?
that. But when I checked a few days ago, it wasn't updated.
All right, I'll see if I can pull that up. Looks like you got a question online. What are you in charge of?
Oh, districts, so basically what we call, so there's 3 districts. The way the PD divides it up, there's three precincts, basically. West Side, which is Rose Park and Glendale. Central, which is downtown, has some of the Avs and things like that. And then I have what's called Liberty, the east side. So I am districts 5, 6, and 7. So if you look up like the districts map for the cities, for city council, 5, 6, and 7 is those are the boundaries. We also actually have one more liaison officer that's around downtown. That's like Miles Bid City, I believe, and he's specifically a business liaison for the businesses. So there's 4 of us total. But yeah, districts 5, 6, and 7, yeah, you can shoot me a message anytime.
Let's see. I don't have it on the website yet either, but maybe we can look for it. The
Yeah,
copy of
it's,
the cop website.
I think that's gonna be Jason Johnson. He's the
Yeah.
outreach guy.
Yep.
And so he probably knows for sure. Maybe just has to make it up. I'll hang up for a second, text him to see if he knows.
So what is copy of the cop like supposed to be?
It's like a pretty basic outreach where it's a kind of a casual setting. So the last one was at the Beans and Brew just recently last week at Liberty Park. Some of the people here came. Yeah, you come, the police are running a town, you can come get a free coffee. And usually like for Liberty, like I was there, my lieutenant, who's the lieutenant over Liberty, along with his commander, Scott Smalley, and Sean Warder, those 2. Jason Johnson, our outreach detective, was there. There's usually maybe some of the PR guys. It's just kind of an informal setting to, you have questions, you want to bring up, issues with the police, things you're seeing that are good or bad, or things you'd like to see more attention. It's just kind of whatever you want to make of it. But we're usually there about 2 hours, and yeah, it's kind of open to anybody. Yeah.
But I didn't get my free coffee.
Oh, we're supposed to give you a card when you came in. And, yeah, you got, that's the commander's fault. I'll put that in new.
It was a good one. I mean, it was really informative. Anyway.
Yeah, it's a good crew over there right now. And you guys have got a great bike squad. Like you said, Alan Christensen is like a relentless guy.
True.
We like in our division meeting last week, they put a new camera up in the park. He kept bowing out of the meeting to keep the camera on his laptop and coordinate his guys. I mean, I think he's gotten 4 distribution lists in the last week alone,
Wow.
just in that park, just from using that camera and stuff. So they're on it. And so
Just
he's a
Liberty
big part
Park
of it.
or
Yeah.
Jefferson Park.
Liberty Park was the big
Okay.
one they're getting out right now. Jefferson's a little quieter.
Good to hear. Any other questions online or our good detective. We're happy to have you, of course.
You be here?
Okay,
All right, that's all I got for a minute. They can text Jason, see if he's got a definitive thing on that.
thank you. I don't know, I just saw it go by, something.
Someone brought it up too, and I hadn't seen it yet, so.
Yeah,
Get
I'm
more
gonna
info
take a
about it.
screenshot, but. All right, we invited Utah Open Lands to come chat with us today. It looks like we've got some cool swag or some nice infographics. Josh, do you want me to project your slides for you?
Yes, please.
All righty. We're very happy to have them as a neighbor. And they persist in spite of having one of our local massage parlors as their next door neighbor. So we appreciate that.
Yeah, I brought
That's so
some
weird.
stickers.
Okay, just look whenever you want. I'm just literally sitting
Well,
on the
Fraser,
couch
do you
listening to
wanna
Amy
be unmuted, Fraser?
mumble on about her particular point of view.
Fraser, don't say anything.
See you later.
Hi, Fraser, you're live.
Bye.
How you doing?
Mute her. Yeah, yeah, there we go.
Whoops.
I brought some stickers, and I also brought something that we made when we did our winter kind of appeal that was like a report card of ours and kind of a little bit of information about what we've done over the last 35 years. Thanks for having me, first of all. My name is Josh. I'm the Director of Community Outreach at Utah Open Lands. We're a part of the neighborhood. We're over on 14th and Main. If you care about where you live, how it feels and how it functions, then you already care about the work that we do. You may just not know that there was an organization quietly doing it on your behalf like us. Are we gonna do slides?
Yes,
Okay,
I
cool.
just started projecting them. Started it in the wrong order.
So we're a local accredited statewide nonprofit land trust. We've been around since 1990. And our work is pretty simple. We preserve, protect, and steward open land. So Utah's natural heritage, quality life survive way beyond us into the future. That's Bonanza Flat. It's up in Wasatch County, 1,500 acres, amazing mountain biking and just beautiful land up there. You can go to slide 2. A huge reason people live in Utah is no doubt because of our outdoors and the open spaces. If all those landscapes went away, then Utah really wouldn't feel like Utah anymore. So we help landowners and communities make permanent, thoughtful decisions about open space. And our primary tool is a conservation easement to do that. The other way is occasionally we'll save land from being developed by purchasing it. This is Castleton Tower. It's rated in the top 50 climbs in the US. They were going to build like 16 ivory homes to block access to the tower. And we actually bought the area in front of it, and now we operate a free campsite, so climbers have a direct path to get to Castleton. So that's one way that we can actually preserve land. Public ownership of land does not automatically mean permanent protection. Priorities change, leadership changes, pressures change. So how do you make sure that shifting political winds and pressures don't force the loss of like a valuable open space? That's where a conservation easement comes in. That locks in the promise that's made to the public that it will remain exactly what it is. It ensures that land acquired for public use can be enjoyed by the public forever. And click the next one. And that conservation values don't get chipped away over time. Public ownership is not the same as permanent protection, and a conservation is how you get that permanent protection. We work with landowners that range from private citizens to public entities, from a farmer and draper to Robert Redford, who you can see sitting in the crowd there. We actually did the protection on Sundance, the conservation easement down there, and we've done 2 or 3 other protections with him and his family properties. Next slide. I think you're ahead of the game now.
I don't have a slide in between these two.
Try going back. Back further. Back. Huh.
So sorry.
That's okay. They came through. Wait, skip the next one. Skip the next one. All right, yeah, this works great.
Okay, I could go to that PDF.
Actually, go to the next one.
Okay,
Well, we're gonna go out of order today.
all right.
Things happen and we pivot, right? So talking about like how do we preserve things, I'm gonna tell you a little story about a hidden gem in Sugar House. It was a stream and kind of a wasteland of open space that was in danger. And in the 1990s, a group of elementary kids formed a group called COPE, Kids Organized to Protect Our Environment. And they said, you know, like this is gonna be turned into a parking garage or more of strip malls, and we don't want to see that. Next slide.
Do you want me to go order back?
Go forward.
Okay,
I think I know where we're at now.
all right.
So this is what Hidden Hollow used to look like. There was trash and cars, and I think if you know Hidden Hollow as that space that's in between like Petco and where Sugar House Park is. Next slide. The kids like made a big ruckus. They got a lot of attention and got together with adults and declared this is open space, did some replanting, and they kind of were no match for the city. And like that wanted to build the parking garage. And in the end, the stream won, the kids won, the community won. Next slide. There you have Rocky Anderson and our kids celebrating with our executive director and Hidden Hollow as we know it today. So it's now permanently protected through a conservation easement. Utah Open Lands holds it. The Salt Lake City, the city owns the land. And so we do annual monitoring, which is the way we steward the lands. The big message for that story is, you know, that's a little piece of green space that's in the middle of a bunch of businesses. People love to walk there. It's just great for getting that extra cool, like cooling off in the summertime, getting some fresh air, like you don't have to travel far from the city to get that green space. Just 2 hours of open space, being in nature a week is actually good for our physical and mental health. Like our stress hormones drop, our love hormones go up, and it just does so much good for us. So if you went, well, we're actually just gonna stay here. Go to the next slide, actually.
Can you, when you say Utah Open Lands monitors it?
So yeah, when we protect land, that's not where it stops. Protection, like stewardship is an ongoing thing. So conservation easement is in perpetuity. And the way we guarantee that is by monitoring a landscape. So every year, our stewardship director has to go through Sugar House and take photographs, look for things that may be damaged, destroyed, things that the city needs to update or we need to update, and then make sure that no development has crept in. And there actually was a point where some developers in that area had taken out a couple of really old mature trees. And we brought it to the attention of the mayor, and Rocky Anderson said there will be no more construction in this area and you guys will do restitution. And it was hundreds of thousands of dollars that it ended up costing them because you can't replace a 200-year-old tree. So that's how we guarantee that conservation promise is through stewardship. So behind every protected place is a moment when someone has a choice. They could build more, extract more, monetize more. That was where the Robert Redford slides came in. He chose to think of Sundance. Our role at Utah Open Lands is to help people make decisions rooted in care, restraint, and confidence. Over the last 35 years, we've protected 67,000 plus acres. We've got like 20 properties that we're working with right now to do conservation. So that number just continues to go up. To qualify a property, it has to have public value, like habitat, agriculture, scenic views, or recreation. Protecting that open land supports clean air and water. And I know that those are two of the most common things that we worry about in this city.
Sorry, I didn't move forward.
It's okay, you can go to the last slide now.
Okay,
That was when I said 2 hours a week.
Yep.
In nature, it helps us. So that's what we do, is protecting the lands we love. And that's why local open space matters so much. It's not just about preservation, it's about our well-being, it's about our access, it's about quality of life. There's an intrinsic value that just is beyond the value of the monetary value to this open space. Hidden Hollow is a great example of that. Without a conservation easement, that would be a parking garage, and it's like just a beautiful oasis, a pocket of nature. It reduces the density feeling, it offers cooling, and gives us a place to reset in the middle of the city. There are places that you move through and might think like this place is always going to be here. That doesn't happen by accident. That happens through decisions like a conservation easement. So I'm here as your neighbor to say that we're a resource. You're welcome to stop by our office anytime when we're there. 9 to 5, Monday through Thursday. Friday, we often do a remote day. We're on 1488 South Main. We actually live right next door to this lovely gentleman on the board here. We're happy to be a resource. You can learn more about the work we do on our website, which is utahopenlands.org. There's tons about all the different landscapes we've protected and the work that we're doing. And I think nonprofits are a beautiful thing. I've heard it said that they're the conscience of the community. They offer other solutions that private business and government aren't doing. And so we're here to build that relationship with the neighborhood, with the community, with donors, with supporters, with landowners, and help make decisions that relate to land. Yes, sir.
I did have a question because like I'm legally blind and that, and like I have to use public transportation. And what do you do as well to try to help make places more accessible as well that are these open spaces?
I think every property is wildly different, and every conservation is unique to that property. So some properties that we protect do have public access, and some don't actually. So like one of Robert Redford's properties is like a private place that people can't go. Like the H Rock was one of the ones we threw by really quickly. I had a picture of my dogs up there. That's the rock you can see kind of against the valley pane with an H. That area has a conservation easement on it, and people recreate up there. And it starts out as a path that's, paved, but then it becomes a dirt road. And so in some of those places, like access is somewhat limited for someone in your situation. But there's other places like we just did Bunnell's Fork Canyon and Provo Canyon. And the base of that Bunnell's Fork is a park, and it has paved areas, and then it leads to dirt trails. So like there's aspects of some of those areas that you'd be able to access.
But I mean, not just, but like, like public transit to get you to those places, if you know what I'm saying.
I understand what you're saying. We actually are working on a program that I can't talk about just yet, but it would be doing transportation to places like Bonanza Flats. And that would be one way. But
what was the name of that one place you said at the beginning that they had to build they were going to build homes there? And
that's Castleton Tower. So if you were to go down to Moab and then drive about a half an hour east down to Castle Valley, that's where Castleton Tower is.
It'd be good if there's public transportation down the place.
Castle Valley itself almost doesn't even have electricity for most of the residents that live there. So I think we're a little bit ways off before some public transportation makes its way down there. What other questions?
Can you take over the ballpark?
I wrote a very careful statement anticipating a question like this. We've worked with many city councils throughout our history, balancing needs and private development interests. And the one thing that we find that always holds true is when you start this discussion with what is central to the community and what creates a core connection for the community, that's often a natural area. It's a park, it's a place to gather. And when you start there, putting everything else aside, you end up in a pretty good place. So I think it's for the community to decide. And if that's what they decide, we can be a lovely resource for you. But yeah, that's my official answer for that question today.
That's a thoughtful answer.
It is a thoughtful answer. Yeah, I mean, we don't work on policy or things like that. We're here as a resource and an alternative for people who see a different path.
So actually, do you take areas that have been developed and like
rewild them?
Rewild them?
It's a really great question, and I was thinking about that as I was putting my slides together for Hidden Hollow, because it was such a dumpy little area.
Yeah.
The truth is I don't know how to answer that question, and that would be best left up to our executive director to answer that. She actually founded the organization and has been with it for 35 years. So she knows how to navigate a lot of those questions and the legal logistics of all that stuff really well.
Seems like a question worth answering.
It does seem like a question worth answering. To be continued, ... I'll leave materials here if there's no other questions and hang out for a bit.
Cool materials.
Yeah, like we love being a part of the neighborhood. We love getting to interact with you guys and look for any other opportunities that we tend to have to interact. So
You spiffed up your headquarters since you moved here.
we have spiffed up our headquarters and increased hopefully the property values around us. We care about the neighborhood,
Thank you for making our neighborhood your home.
of course. We love it.
Appreciate it. Any more open lands questions?
Anything online?
I
think we're good. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, Josh. and
You're
we like
welcome.
having you as a neighbor. All right. Let's see. Thank you for your thoughtful slides as well. Even if
Put their website in the chat.
I will put the website in the chat, Jeff. All right, Community Redevelopment Agency.
Okay.
You are up.
I can
Would you like
come up.
to share
Yeah, I
slides
was
from
thinking I
there?
can share. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can throw you here. Alright, okay. Can I share? Amy?
Yeah, I'm sorry, let me make you a co-host.
Okay.
So that can be done much more easily. Did it pop up?
Yes.
Excellent.
All right, everyone. Well, thanks so much for having us tonight. I'm Lauren Parisi, a project manager with the CRA, the Community Reinvestment Agency, and I'm here with my former colleagues, Sarah and David, who are both from the planning department and know a lot more about the ins and outs of a rezone than I do. So here to answer all those technical questions, but and I'm also here, I don't want to fail to mention with McKenna Hawley and our newest colleague at the CRA, Hayden Calloway, who you will be seeing a lot more of because he's joining the Ballpark Next redevelopment team. So I wanted to introduce Hayden as well. But just to get started, you all know, a lot about the Ballpark Next proposal. Let's see here. But I did want to mention that in December of last year, so just a couple months ago, our CRA board, who is the same board as the city council, adopted the Ballpark Next Community Design Plan. So here you'll see the kind of high level snapshot of what's all proposed in this plan. And I won't go over everything in detail because again, I know you're pretty familiar with it, but at a high level, this plan, the heart of it is really this adaptive reuse of the western wing of the stadium being used as an entertainment venue. It features 2 park spaces, as we were just talking about, the multi-use fields in the middle there, and then the Creek Park on the southern edge of the northern parking lot parcel. There's also a civic edge along Main Street that's slated for a new library and a new fire station. The Festival Street will be built out along West Temple, and then housing. It includes housing, hopefully in the form of home ownership. Oops. Let's see. So, and why we're here tonight, in order to accommodate all of that, we need to rezone the property. So it's currently zoned public lands, which is a zoning district really meant to accommodate civic uses, stadiums, things of that nature. So it really doesn't allow for this multi-purpose node that's proposed in the plan. And so this is a page out of our plan as well that talks about maximum height allowances. And so you'll see here that the proposed heights range from 45 to 120 feet with a specific allocation for a 150-foot building. So you can also see kind of the height allowances that surround the node and how this plan kind of tries to kind of taper down into the neighborhood to the south, the single family neighborhood, things like that. So just wanted to pull out that plan, this page from our plan as a reminder of what's recommended in terms of height. But again, this plan, it is a recommendation. It's not set in stone, and this is sure to evolve as we work through all the development details. Sorry, you guys, I keep going backwards. All right, so let me just high level. This is the proposal for the rezone. It includes MU11 and MU5, so the northern parking lot to be slated for MU11, as well as the majority of the stadium parcel. And then MU5 would cover the southern half of the stadium parcel to kind of transition into the single family neighborhoods. And so I think you guys are aware.
Can I put this isn't included online, actually, the online narrative says that the entire thing would be rezoned MU11. So is this a change?
Right, so, you know, part of this process is to kind of talk with the community, kind of consider internally what our different options are. And so where we are now is to have that lower portion with that lower height. And then have the MU11 on the remainder of the site. And then there's another carve out for that 150-foot building that would front 13th South on the south side of the street. So we'll talk, like we're at that point right now. We'll talk about it. So that's what's in the plan. So as the planning division, our recommendations were to have a couple of changes to the text for the MU11 zoning district. And so these would just affect that area. They wouldn't affect MU11 and other parts of the city. So the first is that it would require an enhanced active use on 13th South. And so that's part of the new mixed use section. We've had it before, but there's more of them now, more areas that have that now. And so that means that along 13th South, a percentage of the building would need to have an enhanced active use, like retail, restaurant, or civic space. There are a number of different things. And then the other recommendation that we're making for a text change is to allow for additional building height up to 150 feet on that south side of 13th South for buildings that front 13th South and in that block.
Can you say how many stories MU11 generally is?
Yes, so it would allow up to 100. So it would MU11 allows up to 125 feet in height. And so basically the idea is that that would be about 11 stories. And so for all of those zones, the number afterward is the approximate number of stories that are permitted.
And I just wanted to add that I think another detail in the zoning code is it's allowed up to 85 feet, and then above that you need to go through design review. Is that right, Sarah?
I think it's actually 75 feet,
Okay,
and above 75 feet requires design review.
And that's a planning process where the planners kind of take a more detailed look at the design build of the building and have different requirements to make sure there's human scale and that it's really kind of interfacing nicely with the street and things like that. So I just wanted to throw that out, that there will be kind of these detailed review processes that these buildings have to go through. So I have a slide on kind of next steps, but does anyone have questions about the rezone itself before I run over that?
We know most rezones require there being a public benefit, and the public benefit is supposed to be commensurate with the upzoning of the site. Is there a way to calculate how great the public benefit should be if you're going from flat to MU11?
So
So in our code, for the community benefits section, it actually only requires for private applicants to have the community benefit.
Oh, how interesting.
So it doesn't apply to the CRA, but to kind of answer your question with quantifying it, it's kind of subjective. So every application is looked at differently, and the planning commission kind of makes that judgment based on what they're given. And so it can look differently depending on the scale of what's being proposed, and the planning commission kind of takes that into consideration.
And I think you also, Lauren, touched on some of the things that would be open to the public, like there would be the Creek Park and the repurposing of the stadium and all of those kind of areas on the property. I think the plan also calls for another fire station. I don't know if there are other civic uses, but
There's a library we're working to promote home ownership on the site. A grocery store, wellness spaces for small businesses. So we do feel like there's quite a few public benefits that we're working to promote within this plan. So next steps,
There's one other, sorry, let me,
question.
yeah, let me. Sorry, I didn't see the hand was up.
Thanks, Amy. Hi, this is Fraser Nelson. Nice to see you all. I'm sorry I'm not with you in person. We were at a Love Your Block meeting just moments ago. Can you go back to the slide that shows the layout of the zoning changes, please, Lauren?
Sure.
Thanks. Can you explain the rationale that the single-family homes all along the west side of West Temple are not given the same considerations as the single-family homes where the MU5 is being proposed? In other words, the neighborhood there's a lot of single-family homes. I think they're loaded, mostly in green and pink there, and they're not given the same consideration. Why is that?
So if
Thanks.
you look at this map here, Fraser, thanks for that question. You will see that the adjacent zoning districts, that neighborhood, it's FBUN2, which allows heights up to 50 feet. So we felt that kind of a slight step up to 65 feet. And I understand that right there at that corner is single family homes. But we felt this was appropriate as it's kind of across the street, it's kind of distinguished from the neighborhood to the west. And to be frank, we need density on the site. This is a transit-oriented development adjacent to our downtown. We need housing. And I pulled up this slide to kind of, or have these pictures here to kind of illustrate that I think what will be built there in that corner that could go up to 65 feet, we really want to be conscious of the design so that even though it could go taller, we want to promote human scale by doing things like bumping back the floors above the ground floor, things of that nature. So I think that's a really good question, but I think that the site, we need density, and we need density to be able to support the public benefits that are there as well.
So the prior rezone really impacts this rezone. And just one other question on the other slide, not that one, the one with the bigger purple spots. Is that the hotel, the one that says?
Oh,
one. Yeah, is that was that 120 foot? Is that the hotel?
The 150 is where
The 150 is the hotel.
could
Okay.
be potentially located. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for the clarification, Lauren.
Sure.
Thanks, Amy.
Sure thing. Question about if there's a consideration for, Sherry, you unmuted. Would you like to ask your own question?
Sure. I'm just wondering if with all of the high density living, we know that Utah they refer to it as a daycare desert. If there's any considerations for daycare to help support the population or a space set aside for that.
That's a really great question. I think daycares are a welcome use in this space. I think that's kind of the work that we're diving into right now, is starting to talk to community groups, operators like Neighborhood House we've been in touch with. So I think that's a huge need and would work really well on this site. We just haven't gotten to that level of detail yet in terms of if there's an operator that could work in the space.
Yeah, and how would we make sure that we can have a voice with that? Who would we be in contact with to see if we could have a voice with how that works as that comes to be?
Yeah, so some at the CRA, when we work on development projects, whatever strategy we take, we are required to bring predisposition strategies to our board of directors, the city council. So work with me, work with McKenna, Holly, and Hayden, to just all of our meetings are public, but you can then see kind of what's being brought to the board in terms of what we're thinking for a strategy for redevelopment, and you can provide public comments that way, or you can always touch base with us at the CRA.
Thank you so much for your explanation of that. Thank you.
Sure.
Hi, Sash.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. So I put a couple questions in the chat. One, I guess, is you mentioned human scale or something to that effect, and I guess I just to me, I'm trying to envision standing in the open space and then having a Zion, buttress right up against me. And I think that big wall is maybe it starts to steal away from the human space, the open space, because you're just not going to want to stand right there. So it just makes the adjacent space almost unusable next to a big wall. So that's just one comment. And then the second one, I guess, is, obviously there's an increase in property value as you allow for more density. And so the question was kind of, where does that value, that added value, who does that go to? And is there any opportunity that, that would be captured and recognized and put back into that space, that specific, next project or whatever?
So that's exactly what we're trying to do. So the city owns the property. There's a little nuance. They're transferring it to the CRA. But at the CRA, we can capture tax increment, which is that increased property value that development spurs. So this is in our 900 South, what's called the Housing and Transit Reinvestment Zone. And that allows us to capture tax increment to then reinvest back in public amenities. So that's exactly what we would like to do, is what you described. And we're working on kind of like the financial analysis to be able to do that.
I mean, that's tax, but what about just the pure value, right? If it's worth whatever, I don't know, 14 million or 20 million, or I don't know how much that that if it changes density and you increase floors and however many more units, there's more value just sheer in the property value. I mean, the tax is good too, but yeah.
So as the landowners, that kind of allows us to negotiate new public benefits, to be required in private parts of this development. If that, I'm not sure I'm fully understanding your question, but that it does give us leverage that we own this land and that's valuable land. And we
right. And it becomes more valuable, right? If it's worth 20 million and then it doubles to 40 million, there's an extra $20 million or whatever the number is with the rezone. That specific dollar value is kind of what I'm speaking of.
Okay.
Right.
Luckily, we're the landowners, so hopefully we capture that.
Right.
Appreciation.
Yeah. Yep.
Christina, I thought you had a question. Did you want to?
Nope, I don't have a question on this. That's great stuff.
All right, let's keep going.
So next steps for the rezone, we are tentatively scheduled, I believe, to go to the Planning Commission on March 11th. And then, as you all know, with the Housing Authority's development, it'll also be going to the City Council for their final review, potential approval. And so we're looking at, I don't know, what's this timeline these days for City Council?
It just depends. It generally takes at least probably a couple months before it would go to planning, or go to City Council once the Planning Commission makes a recommendation.
Okay. So a couple of months then after the planning commission. And so we've been advised that we should really wait till the new zoning is in place to release any kind of requests for qualifications or proposals. But in the meantime, we have a lot of research and work that we've been doing in terms of transferring the land to the CRA, working on land surveys, working on a subdivision, environmental site assessments. And one of the biggest things that we'd like to have in place before any RFP goes out to really guide that RFP is a financial analysis that indicates kind of what are going to be the revenue generators on the site that can help subsidize some of these public benefits. So that's what we're doing right now, and we're hoping to be kind of ready to roll out an RFQ once the new zoning is in place. And then McKenna, do you want to talk about interim activation a little bit?
Sure. Should I come to the front so that they see? Okay.
Well, either way, it looks like we've got another question. Fraser, do you want to articulate?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Given the number of new and additional units going up and planned beyond the 13 acres, and this increased density that you're seeking, is the city open to reconsidering more green space on the stadium site? It seems to me that you're just adding and adding and adding more people as well, along with private development. And it's just, we've never thought it was sufficient, but it feels even less sufficient now. What's the process to reconsider that?
Yeah, Fraser, that's a great question. And I want to reiterate that this plan is a framework and it's definitely going to evolve, especially as we get more detailed development information. And so I think that's definitely something that can be considered and kind of consider carefully as we understand really how many units are going to be on this site. What kind of green space can we maintain? What's the cost of that, et cetera. So I think it's not something that it's going to be considered, moving forward. And so, yeah, we definitely want to keep that conversation going.
Yeah, and I will say too, just to go off what Lauren said, is the whole thing is going to be a balance. Like if more green space can be maintained appropriately, then we would err on that side, of course.
I do have a question now. Just following up on what Fraser asked. So we went to the CRA and we asked them about specific data regarding the amount of green space per capita that's necessary in any project. Now, the CRA person that we spoke to sent us to the planning folks, and then they sent us back to the CRA folks. And then they sent us to the planning folks. So then they sent us back to the CRA folks. So, this was a really great question that that Fraser has brought up, because there would be numbers available to the public to sort of understand this density question numerically, but yet that information is not been available to the public. And in an effort to even grab all that information, we still haven't been able to understand the specific data request that we're asking for, because it keeps going back and forth between these two departments. So we're hoping that that we could get maybe an answer to that. And if we do have to grab all that information, if it's not publicly available, we would like to follow up on that. And then Fraser would have a really good answer, I think.
Is your question, is there a requirement for how much green space per capita is required?
This is what we were told by the CRA, that there is some sort of.
I don't think that's true.
Okay, well, that's good information if it isn't true.
No.
But we do know that, the ballpark area is underserved with green space and trees, specifically from your guys's station area plan. So that is a priority, is to bump that number up. And especially I think there's a situation where it's on the west side has a lot less than the east side. And so that is.
Okay, so just to be clear, if I hear you correctly, it isn't actually factual that there is a green space allotment per capita in city code. So we've been kind of like searching for something that doesn't really, okay, great, that's fantastic.
There's a
Cool.
landscaping ordinance, so like you're.
Oh,
required
no,
to have
I'm
certain
aware of that.
frontage.
Yeah, this is
There's.
Call us though,
Yeah.
like, you know, the three of us too, like if you've got. Hit us first maybe and we can try and
No,
direct you.
no, that's fantastic. Yeah, thank you.
This just feels, just the whole process, and this is not to beat y'all up, but the whole process just feels like, they can handle more cement. They can handle more asphalt. We're already in a super challenging space. Nobody can breathe right now. That's not going to be improving. We desperately need green. And we desperately need, yes, we need housing, but you know what? We're starting to turn into East Germany in the 70s as kind of the design vibe that we're getting in some of these places. And I'm hoping that this will have that there'll be some things tied to the RFP or the RFQ that will mandate at least something that's not boring and cement. And can we do anything to encourage greening on the sides of the building, on the roofs of the building, anything that would help us? And kind of, I mean, if it's tied to the RFP, you know, you got some leverage. I'm not seeing really anything that is responding well to the neighbors' concerns.
Kelly, like, you can do brutalism and do it green. I know, I've been to the campus of Utah Valley University. I think they've actually done a pretty reasonable job at putting those two things together.
Thank you for the brutalism word. It's been a long week. I've lost most of my vocabulary.
It's okay. I might be giving 1970s East Germany more credit than it's due.
Well, they weren't really big on the green, but they did have some gorgeous parks.
Kevin, I know you have a question as well. I know you're not feeling well, so if you're not able to talk, that's okay.
We'll put it in the chat if y'all want to listen to me cough. That's okay.
We can listen to you talk.
Sorry. One concern I've had from the beginning is you're essentially enclosing public land or enmeshing public land with private land, which drastically increases the value of the private land, of course, because we're gonna have these beautiful public amenities that are invested into it. But I foresee that coming to that public land being captured by those private properties. And so I'd ask you to speak to that and how that will be avoided, how that small amount of what is a great deal of public land now, the small amount that will remain public, will be kept public.
Yeah, so I think it's the city council's priority to try to maintain this as public land. And to do that, the CRA could provide long-term leases when we work on these public-private partnerships. So we really are conscious that we want this to remain under the public's ownership. But we do need private partners to make some of this happen. I will say that, but definitely conscious of like, that's a goal of the council and the community. And so kind of, we'll try to work through those details.
Was I incorrect? You didn't say that you were selling the land, that you were selling it for private ownership? A great deal of it?
No.
I thought I recalled that. Maybe I misunderstood. We have it recorded. At the beginning,
Why
we're
did you
looking for some privately owned.
Well, I mean, at the moment,
we need to subdivide the property in order to build these buildings, because you can't build multiple buildings on one parcel. The planners know more about this than I do, but we do need to subdivide it, to divide it to facilitate the development itself.
even if we do a long-term land lease, if it's with a separate private partners, we would need to do the land lease on that parcel versus like a whole entire thing where then you've got to have like an HOA and like a bunch of other things. It's just easier to, I mean, you could, but it'd be complicated. You know, you didn't. And two, like there might be opportunities in keeping portions of it public and portions of it private. So we can get that investment, you know, because we can't honestly, you know, fund all this with taxpayer dollars. So like we have to have like a balance.
So are you subdividing it to carve off some of the pieces?
Carve off some of the pieces for private development.
Private ownership.
That was my understanding of what you said.
Ownership. We don't know yet.
Like, for example, the civic edge, we have to subdivide that. It'll be, those clearly are two pieces of land that will remain under city ownership, but it's kind of a matter of just facilitating development and you know, roads and utilities and things like that. So I don't necessarily know if a subdivision equates to having it be under private ownership.
Yeah, it does.
But up there it says land transfer.
Oh, sorry.
That's to us. That's to CRA, sorry.
And at a minimum, right, they would need to reconfigure the property lines, just
Yeah.
because right now they aren't necessarily in logical places.
Yeah, you can
And
pull
so-
up the map too. and
Right,
show
and so
them.
I think at a minimum, that would be necessary. And, you know, it's kind of on them to figure out their next steps,
Go
their next
down one.
plans. And I think we
Go
go
back
back.
down one.
Oh, this one.
Like, these are all separate parcels, like, you know, so we couldn't, I mean, that one's not, but we would have to subdivide it, or like, yeah, do a subdivision that way. Because it would limit our ability to build the buildings that we kind of talked about.
So what's in the MU5, they're all separate parcels.
Yeah, that's right. So you
Exists.
can't really see it there. But...
It doesn't follow existing parcel lines. We're working on the Main Street boundary.
Yeah.
But it does have two smaller RMF 35 parcels and then one property that's split zoned, RMF 35 and MU5. I'm sorry, not MU5, RMF 35 and public lands. And so that would kind of have that lower portion just be MU5.
All this to say it's kind of messy. The zoning's kind of messy, and a subdivision will work to clean it up and make it ready for development.
But right now, we're just focusing on the rezone.
Yes.
And so that's kind of the next step that involves the planning division.
Yeah.
And so we will have that planning commission that's tentatively set for March 11th. And then the transmittal would go to the city council, and then they'd hold another, so there's a public hearing on the 11th, and then there'd be another public hearing at the city council as well. They have their meetings to discuss it.
Hey, just real quick, you just say, hey, we're focused on the rezone, and we're not new to this concept. Our whole community is being rezoned, and it's being turned into housing everywhere. So, I mean, you're just not fooling us. We understand what's going to happen. So I just like, let's just be
unfortunately, the
honest,
rezone is our only
you know?
chance to have a voice.
What's that?
But unfortunately, the rezone is the only chance we have to have a voice. And so not
I
you,
get
but
it,
many
I'm just
say
saying,
we're
like-
just focusing on it. I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah.
So this is our voice now because they're
Right.
not going to listen to us later.
Right.
And so we have to focus on what the rezone leads to, unfortunately.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's why we're, it creates friction for us, man. That's it. Yeah, you're putting housing everywhere around us, and sometimes we don't trust people, basically, because that's just the way it's been the last 15 years. So thanks.
Does it change anything if it's home ownership products?
Sure, but it's not guaranteed. There's no guarantees in any of this, right?
Well, I mean, I guess I can't tell the future either, but like we do have priorities at least.
We've already done that though. We put priorities into master plans, and those get overruled and rezoned, and that, you know what I mean, like an overlay. And there's this, I mean, that's what we're asking for. You can say we want, that's the idea, but then none of that. If it's not, we're just trying to be something. We want something firm, something concrete, right? And there's never anything, and never a guarantee, and we just get railroaded with whatever the council wants and the planning division wants, basically because the developer wants it, and that's just hard to swallow each and every time. So, but
Can I ask a question?
I'm here on the call, trying voicing my opinion. Thank you for the time.
We do appreciate it. Yeah, we really do appreciate it.
Isn't it
It's
cool
not-
that people are talking over each other to agree
Yeah.
online?
Can I ask a question about what he just said? The gentleman? So what I always hear, sort of in a nutshell, is that, you know, we can't pay for the amenities that people want in Ballpark because we don't have enough budget. So the reason why we're going through all of this is because we have to get that outside investment, which is developers essentially, to like pay for these amenities that we want or that Ballpark wants, right? So the actual balance is that, you know, taxpayer money for green space and sort of the things that people are asking for versus another type of public investment from developers, essentially, you know, that you would contract with to provide the funds, right? So my question is always like, is there some sort of balance sheet that people can look at to sort of understand these numbers, these budget concepts that you're all constantly talking about, that's available for, you know, people like the ones that are disagreeing and agreeing online to be a part of that conversation? To me, that seems to always happen behind the scenes secretively. And people kind of talk about, you know, the second level, which is kind of the theoretical, the priorities, right? So I'm just, you know, very specifically, is there data that speaks to the priorities that we're always talking about when we're talking about land stewardship? Right?
That's a great question. That is some of the research that we're undertaking right now at a high level. And so I would say that that information would be public once we finish that. When we start to negotiate with developers, a lot of times what happens is it requires special approvals from our CRA board. And so then at that time, when we're bringing a specific development request to our board, that information is public. Some of the information might be proprietary, but I think that balance sheet type of information, what you're looking for, maybe not in every detail, but it is brought to our board and the public to contemplate when we are like in negotiations with a developer. But we're not there yet.
Yes. So I, again, just to be very clear, it doesn't happen prior to negotiating with a developer. So what the folks online are kind of asking for is some upfront information and transparency that's being made available.
So,
but it doesn't happen in
It does. One thing that we're doing right now that might be a little bit more concrete is the entertainment venue. That's a pretty big use development that's we're not sure if it we want to look at the operations, and we want to develop a pro forma for that on a high level, which will tell us, is this going to generate enough revenue to pay for the construction of it and also pay for the operations of it, and pay off the loans that we took out for construction. So that is something that we're undertaking right now, is specifically for the entertainment venue at a high level, to be able to then take that to a partner and say, look, we've kind of figured out this financial part of it, and then it'll go down into more detail with real world information. But is that kind of helpful? Because that's done beforehand, and research that we want to have to be prepared when we do start to negotiate with developers.
We got one hand in the room and two online, but please finish your thought, Christine.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I can't, I'm having troubles with the light. So, I think that, you know, anytime that stuff can be made more transparent up front, you know, is what satisfies like every comment that has been made tonight, you know, in the, you know, front end. So yeah, I mean, I think that's great.
Fraser, I think your hand's been up the longest.
Thank you. I I'm glad you have this particular slide up. And I just want to ask what I think is a really stupid question, but maybe I just had an aha moment. We went through an upzone very recently, in advance of when MU8 became something we learned about. And as to build on a prior comment, if you look at this map, it's really getting the sense that the density that you're seeking and you're talking about is covering a vast majority of our neighborhood. And that the upzone that you're seeking now, when I asked my prior question about, well, why are we being treated differently than the yellow kind of preserve district? It feels to me as though the anticipation is that the single family homes and the smaller, lower density places you're anticipating will be really over time replaced. This is how I'm reading this. Am I on to something other than the yellow zone that is, as we know, single family residential and thus protected in a way that it's not in the other areas?
That's a great observation, but I would say no, I don't think that's the intention. I think I liken this node similar to, there's a bit higher density development, of course, in Sugar House that's directly adjacent to single family neighborhoods, and the intention there is not to get rid of those single family neighborhoods. It's just there's nodes across the city that kind of support higher density, and sometimes it's closer to these single family neighborhoods, but the zoning there, and I guess I can't speak to that MU8, why it is MU8, but I would guess it's kind of just transitional from 300 West.
Because it just got zoned that recently. And I guess where I would push back just a little bit is that as I talk to neighbors, they're getting, in anticipation of what we've been talking about, the kind of increased density and increased property values, they're getting offers to buy their homes. Thank you, Zach. That's exactly right. They're getting offers to buy their homes and replace them. And if there's a new building going up on 300 West that's anticipated, that's taking down a number of homes and putting in a much larger building as a residential treatment facility. So this is happening. And because so much of our neighborhood is rental properties with absentee landlords, they've been waiting for the time to kind of cash out, which is going to cause all kinds of problems for our neighbors finding, affordable housing that, one day will get built, but isn't being built as they're getting pushed out. So whether or not you anticipate that this will happen, we as residents can tell you it is happening. It's happening right now. Thanks.
Thanks, Fraser. Adam, your hand was up.
Yeah, the one concern I do have, and I know that there's people around that probably might have the same concern, is I know that it'd be nice to know who are the developers as well, because I know that the mayor, her husband is a developer, and I know some people don't have, how do I put it, the best of feelings because of that. And the thing is from what I've heard is there's been different projects throughout the city that have been built, and they've been built by his company, and he's always had the lower bid somehow, and just making sure that there's some kind of fairness, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, whatever we put out for a developer will be a competitive process. So, if somebody's bid is the best and the most and the coolest, then it's gonna win, but once we do the competitive process, and we'll have like exact, we'll have requirements, we'll have preferences, and we'll be scoring off those. And once we have a developer who rises to the top, then everybody will know who it is.
It's like, whose quality of life improves?
Hopefully your guys's. That would be the point.
It's like, How do you figure?
I mean, I guess like with the plan, like this is green space you couldn't even touch before. I guess I mean, it's, we can't please everybody, but I do feel like the point was to insert some green space in this place that people can go and enjoy and sit and play games or whatever, see some water,
Surrounded by a hard surface.
Well, you live in a city. I mean, you have to do it right. You do have to do it right. Like, let me say it that way. Like, it's not. But I guess like, the thought to have an entire park here might seem great, but I don't know if you guys have the money to pay for that. I don't know if the whole city has enough money to pay for that.
Fall on the list.
Or like maybe open lands, like, I don't know if you guys have the money to pay for that. You know what I mean? It's like, it's a balance. Yeah.
Whatever happened to the 100 million that the Smiths family gave us?
We're asking the same question.
That's a great question.
We're asking the same question.
Yeah.
We're asking the same question.
It's a great question.
Possible that they became less interested in that when this became a private development instead of the. You're right. It wasn't ours. We couldn't access it. We were offered it as a community, and instead it seems to be turning into high density housing that's going to be privately owned. And if you're going to have the green space of it privately funded, people who fund things tend to own things. So again, it won't be green space for the community. It'll be private property. And that's not what was sold to us. That's not. I mean, that's not what the $100 million in investment was supposed to go towards. That's not what was expressed to us. And if the money's disappeared, maybe there's something about your implementation that has reduced their ardor in providing it.
Just to be clear, we have not received $100 million. The city has not received $100 million.
That's not what I said.
The city has only received, I believe, $5 million.
$5 million.
With a promise of possibly 20 million that will then go to a Utah Impact Fund that is not dedicated to necessarily our neighborhood. So this is something I will be pushing on because we were promised something, and you're going to hear me say we were promised something. Now that was from another entity that's not a city entity, that was philanthropic dollars, but we're going to have to push to get our share of those philanthropic dollars that were promised to this community. And that's something
perhaps you missed my statement, which was that they were promised something too, and it doesn't sound like that's what you intend to provide. So if that reduced their ardor in offering that money, that might be the reason.
What I don't think they were promised anything.
We were promised community green space, like a community engagement area, and it doesn't sound like that's what's actually coming out. It sounds like it's going to be high density housing.
Well,
That's what the money was supposed to be for when they initially said, hey, we're going to try to raise $100 million. We'll put, I forget how much. They're still investing $22 million, but
yes, the phrase that I remember is human-centered capital, which
Yeah,
I never
like social determinants of health.
Yeah, and addressing social determinants of health. I never heard any of those things adequately defined. Social determinants of health can be met in a variety of ways. They could be met with just, a free clinic, for example.
we're not getting that.
But this is a great example. This is exactly what, it's such an interesting thing to hear Erika say, essentially that, we have this private partner, which was the Miller Foundation, if I'm understanding what we're talking about, saying, here's this money that's going to come to this community, right? But so far it hasn't, and nobody knows where it's at. So the council person has to go fight for this situation. And it's just so interesting to watch the complexity just grow and grow and grow from a person who isn't from this neighborhood. But, we have Liberty Park in our neighborhood, and we watch the green space being utilized by so many more people than ever before. And, the city's going to continue to grow. And, the rewilding of green space isn't on the table. So that's just such an interesting.
Maybe parts are, I would say it's not.
Daylighting on the trees.
So like the daylighting, I thought your presentation was like we gotta connect on the creek part for sure.
It's just an interesting, from a theoretical or a scientific or, like I'm an economist level, it just feels like this is a circular conversation, right? And this great plan has been created, but it's not essentially the plan that the folks, anybody who speaks to this is psyched about, including the council person, a neighbor. It's just hard to understand specifics. And if I could just be really clear, it seems like people want more specifics. Like I said, they want to see the balance sheet a little bit more. But
can I just as an economist though, right? We've got a vision here, right? But implementation is taking that vision and digging into that complexity on how to build it, how to make it happen, how to maintain it, how to make it awesome. You know what I mean? It's like, I can't tell you right now.
Well, as an economist, any economist would want to see the balance sheet.
Well, we have to build it, right? We have to
build
build it
way in the front. An economist would be looking at it from the perspective of the balance sheet would drive the situation. That's why I said I don't understand the circular argument. I just don't understand it from the perspective of an economist because it just goes in a circle.
I mean,
that's the hardest.
I was gonna say I'm new to this, so maybe I'm not kind of following correctly. But I think, as an economist, you want to drill down into those details. But if you don't know what details to drill down into, then you can't get that specific number you want. So I think we're just kind of progressively getting more and more into details so that you'll have more and more of those numbers to look at.
And can I say just one more thing that, with a changing market, something that happens in 2021 is not going to happen in 2023, and maybe it can in 2025 and 2030, but it's, that balance sheet that you're talking about is always changing.
I understand that. I mean, that's kind of an obvious thing, right? That's really obvious.
Right.
But what's not so obvious, I think, to the public, right, is the first step balance sheet. For example, and I'm going to just be really clear again, right? This neighborhood was promised some money that was supposed to go to improving this area that would help, fill in some of the blanks on this balance sheet. Okay. So, but this private entity, public-private, relationship that we're always talking about has sort of become obscured. Nobody really knows what's going on, right? So what I'm saying is when you're filling in a balance sheet, if you're not really actually filling it in with real confirmed information, then we're not really filling in a balance sheet. That's the point I'm trying to make. And I think that everyone in the neighborhood that I've talked to struggles with the fact that, I understand your guys' process. We know how this operates. This is a very specific strategic reality. But the rest of the folks are not getting the answers about what are those specific numbers and how are they going to have any assembly that, it's indeed working for the neighborhood. How are we following it by, what are those specific things that are going to build it? And what you guys are saying is the process that you operate under doesn't really fill in those plates.
It does. We're just not there. We're way, it's in the very early stages. We'll get there, those specifics, but we're not there yet to be able to.
So, and again, I wanted to say before, what I heard you say, and just clarify it one more time, is that you fill in the blanks more closely to when an RFP goes out or when something happens, not in the upfront. So my simple thing, if I was talking to the neighbors, I would simply say that information isn't going to be available to you, right? It's just not going to be available to the public until an RFP is being made or something is being sold or transferred to a private equity.
Well, I think we will, the idea would be to build out a general budget,
Mm-hmm.
see what things cost, see what revenue we can generate.
Right. So
See how
like you said.
maintenance costs, and so like there will be a general budget sheet.
Mhm.
But then though, to your point, it, like, until the moment that it comes down to the dollar kind of thing, then we will know as much as.
Similar
Yeah.
to what you're doing
But-
for entertainment, right? Sounds like a great idea to do like that.
Yeah, exactly, but it's like, how does it work? We gotta.
But how did you get to this point? How someone's put all these together and put all these on the site, and that works, right? Someone's drawn this up. They're just guessing, I guess.
No, we went through
Right?
like
Where are these numbers? Where are the numbers for this? Someone can project this today. Amen to whoever's been talking. Thank you. There are numbers on this stuff. We just don't get to see it.
Okay.
It's a good
Yeah.
question in the back.
I just wanted to speak to the frustration level.
Yeah.
Because you can feel it. And thank you for being here. But yeah, it is pretty frustrating. As a business owner, I'm always really, really encouraging my team to be politically, and I want them to be involved. So I'm the mom, right? Go, go, we've got a meeting, we've got whatever. What I'm hearing consistently from particularly I'd say my 30 and unders, and I have 250 staff, okay? So, and quite a few of them live in Ballpark, and we just looked at me.
That's so many, dude. How do you have time to come to these things?
Listen, I don't deal with
She's
the
a mom.
I just come here and drink a lot afterwards. It's a thing. But what I'm hearing consistently, and I have staff that actually live in Ballpark, I have staff that live in apartments around the stadium. When I say, hey, we've got another community engagement thing coming up, they look at me and they're like, why? It's a waste of time. We filled them out. We've been doing this. We've been engaged for 2 years. Nothing that's promised us happens. And they don't listen to us. It's lip service. And that's what I'm getting from my team. And so that's also, it sounds like what you're getting from this room right now. It doesn't feel good.
Can I take that? But also say that this rezone is literally a step towards the plan that we did all that engagement for. So we are literally listening to you guys and implementing.
I'm just reflecting what I'm hearing from my team, and I understand how difficult your process is.
I can understand that.
And for the note, that's what I'm trying to do too. I mean, I'm the chair of East Liberty Park Community Organization.
Right.
And, this is consistently what we are hearing. That, it's just like we're asking folks to trust the city and be a part of the process. But then it's happening at such a high level that like normal individuals, like I know that I'm a heavy duty in the weeds type person, but normal individuals are being left out of this next process because they can't see how their community engagement is looking like this. There's a gap there somehow. And I suggest it's, I made my piece. I'm just reflecting what the community is saying back to. I'm not specifically talking about my personal point of view. So I think that taking, again, the economist perspective, that's where I see the world from. But what we're hearing time and time again, and it's interesting to see it in this room. Wait, we showed up, we were there. How did we get to this? There's some confusion there. And maybe the urbanists, the folks that are working hard on this, have answers to that question. But I don't. So, those questions.
Yeah, I want to say we hear you. Love the side, and it's not, at some point decisions do have to be made, and we can do a lot of engagement, and we do this research, and this page kind of shows different research that went into this and the different engagement. But at some point, decisions do have to be made. And so we try to be really inclusive in those decisions, but this is.
So I asked for this information, and I asked at the CRA, I obviously maybe was talking to the wrong people, I sent several emails asking for the data or some public facing information that people could look for this page here, this evidence-based plan. And I was denied that information. I was told that it wasn't available to the public.
The
So
plan-
simple like green space.
I can send this to you directly. The plan has an appendix, and the appendix is full of lots of research and numbers and everything you could imagine. If you're interested, it's pages and pages, but that's definitely public.
Great, because that I think that might help some of the folks that are, wondering, like that appendix is a good start. I mean, I looked at the appendix, it wasn't as like clear of analysis that I would want, but again, I think it might help some of the folks that are online and have those questions. So that's a great resource.
Couple of thoughts I'd like to contribute. I'm Jeff Sandstrom, one of the Ballpark Community Council board members. Just a couple of quick key points. Green space is the #1 request from all neighbors and community meetings we've had. Just to make sure that that's, we are hoping that can be as much of a focal point as possible. Next thought, after looking at the high-rise buildings proposed on 1300 South, I'm personally now feeling like, would the community be better served by retaining and reimagining the entire existing ballpark structure for community concerts and entertainment, keeping it as a larger entertainment venue, and then you don't have to worry about the hotel property or that 13th South side. You've already paid for and own a ballpark structure that's in good condition. That could that just have maybe even a canopy or could be enclosed? Could that be thought of? Because I know a lot of discussion about 13th South is about that section. I think that's worth reconsidering. When the proposals came out, I was originally in favor of the mixed combination of use of keep part of the ballpark, but the more I look at the plan and think about it, I still think that might be worth reconsidering as a better way to serve the community. And partly because I feel like the proposed multifamily housing feels like it's overwhelming the project and encroaching on the open space, particularly on the ballpark side in the stadium area. I think that it's reasonable to have some housing on the far north end of the property and the far south, and it looks like with the step down zoning, you're considering the fact that they're stepping down against a single family residences. The thoughts on a hotel quickly. Everybody seems to feel like the hotel doesn't contribute to year-round engagement or the mission of the project. And one thought I had, I'm not a hotel expert, but in my observations of living here for a long time, I've noticed that all of the hotels that were not in the city center area have failed. Unless they were residential, like long-term extended stay type of properties. For example, Triarch Travelodge, which became Red Lion and is now converted out of a hotel. No one could make it work. It's now converted into apartments, which is a useful thing, but I'm just saying it's an example. It failed because it was too far away from downtown. Same with Ramada Inn on Main Street, which is now Palmer Court. It never could be operated as a viable hotel. So I'm suggesting that if you are going to take that side of the ballpark down and think you need a hotel there, I think that it needs some really
numbers to back it up.
Really have a careful feasibility study done on it, because those, it's too far away from the Salt Palace theaters, sport music venues, upscale dining. It seems, is it going to work?
Yeah.
And it might be one thought I had is maybe that's something to hand over to UNLV, Master's Program in Hotel and Hospitality Administration as a case study. Just throwing that out there, it crossed my mind. And what the only last thought I have is this space has been dedicated to public land for more than 100 years. I'm asking if the proposed rezone keeps enough focus on community space for enjoyment, entertainment, and engagement. We have a once in a lifetime opportunity to embrace and maintain a rare parcel of public land in the city. So anyway, appreciate your time.
Yeah, appreciate his comments.
I do know we have to get to activation, but I did want to. Brandy Lee is joining us tonight from Intermountain Health. And some of the justification for a hotel that I've heard from the CRA is that it will serve the new hospital coming in at the current Sears block, that it'll serve visitors to that hotel. I found that a little confusing because of this site would be so much further away than a variety of hotels that are off of 5th and 6th South, like the Grand America, like Little America, and a few other hotels on that site. But Brandy, I wonder if you could comment about what you foresee the need to be in terms of long-term space for guests and visitors for the hospital space.
I mean, if you have a crystal ball, I'm all for it.
I don't. Especially that part of the hospital.
That is, it is a challenge, because there still is not yet an approved project for the Sears block. So, that would be an assumption as of right now, because it sits as the Sears block until we finish engaging and working with the city and the planning commission. So it's hard to say what that would be. I do know that there are some hotels adjacent to the medical center, and some of those service our transplant patients. So solid organ transplant. LDS Hospital does have a blood and marrow transplant program for oncology, but we also have healing homes that are like on the property with us, where many of our families will stay while they're needing to travel from out of town and stay at the hospital for extended periods of time. So it would be really hard to make that guess where we've sat on that hill for 121 years. And then we know moving will bring more traffic if that is what is ultimately built and approved and built. We just don't know exactly what that is going to look like.
Is it fair to say that the folks who need medium to long-term arrangements to stay near a hospital are very different kind of tourism than the average hotel guest? Like if I go to visit Salt Lake, or if I go to the Ken Gardner Institute, they have a lot of data about hotels and hotel occupancy. I know I looked at it today.
Yeah.
But it seems like that might not, the kind of tourist who comes for medical care probably isn't going to be visiting fine dining in the area.
Well, we actually have several destination medicine programs that are at LDS Hospital, for joints, for bariatrics, and a few other things. But those companies arrange all of everything for their clients that are traveling from out of state to Salt Lake to have their operations. So again, it's really hard to say, because they have their contracts that they build in as part of those destination medicine programs. And a lot of our long-term stay patients are medical telemetry patients, and some of them, quite frankly, a lot of them are unhoused. So they are residents.
Could you say what medical telemetry is?
So they're having to be monitored all the time for cardiology or other situations that are going on. And we'll have patients that will stay with us for up to 3 to 4 weeks sometimes, because they've got some serious health issues. But again, they're residents of Salt Lake City already, and or they're unhoused. And so they're there in the hospital, we're taking care of them. And then when they discharge, they're going back, whether it's they've reunited with family or they're going back to their encampment, or, whatever their next step might be. But a lot of those, and I don't have the data in terms of like what we see from outside of the Salt Lake Valley, outside of Utah, versus like how much of that business is from inside the Salt Lake City, Salt Lake Valley area. And that data obviously has changed over, gosh, how old is the medical center now? 19 years. It was built 19 years ago. So a lot of those solid organ transplant, heart patients, kidneys, those kinds of things, that's all transferred down to Murray. That would have needed to stay with us for 2 to 3 months.
Okay, I know that was like a speed through,
Yeah.
but I wanted to visit that topic with you for the benefit of this conversation, so thank you very much. Yes, sir.
I did want to mention, I heard that you mentioned, or someone mentioned about the Grand America and Little America Hotel that are supposed to be real close, but those places are really expensive, and not everyone that may have to come may have the ability of staying at places like that. And so, and then the other thing is with the hotel being done by the ballpark area, it almost doesn't make sense because it's so far away, like someone mentioned, that it's really far away, and like public transportation between there is kind of it's a long, you have to either go, one way or the other to get, it just, whether you take a State Street bus or you take the light rail, there's, that puts someone farther away from the hospital. If they're there with a family member that's in the hospital, for them to get back and forth, and if they're not from here, they're not going to usually have their own car, if you know what I'm saying. That's just kind of something that I kind of see is, I don't know, the hospital was, if there was a hotel built closer to the hospital that was geared for people that are coming specifically because they're either, a family member staying with someone who's in the hospital, or they themselves might need to, that's something I was thinking of as you guys are saying what you're saying.
Yeah, I think that speaks to the Intermountain Health Hospital plan and not so much this plan, just because you're just talking about the potential, who's going to be the consumer audience for this proposed hotel. But I do want to say, let's learn about activation before we get too late.
Okay. Well, so this summer we are looking forward to a more full season of activation at the ballpark. I feel like last year we were ramping up and we had some small successes, largely supported by you guys and your neighbors. And that was, I don't know, I thought it was pretty awesome, the work you guys have all put in. But we are working through the contract right now with our production partners. So we'll have more information on that in a month or so. And we're gonna be, well, at that time, we'll have more information about what events will be taking place. And also, we've got some news about a community grant program that we're gonna do for the ballpark. So some community organizations or just local organizations can put on events that will enhance the community and kind of like, I don't know, make that place fun, and for like specifically for the neighbors though. And then we'll be subsidizing that with up to $10,000 grants. Yeah.
So, how many of those proposed activations, if not all of them, have to go through Cornerstone? Because that's been a little bit of a tricky moment.
We're working through that right now. I mean, basically, like they're like the production partners at the stadium. So like if you want to do like AV, if you want,
we can't afford them.
We're working through it. We have heard that, and we are working through that right now currently. So I mean, and two, I will say that if we find that it is just like so insanely cost prohibitive, we'll reconsider our grant program.
So you're saying 10, my information, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm totally willing to be wrong, I'd love to be about this, is that it is a 30K use fee.
I don't think that's set in stone. I think it's
I
think it's dependent on the event. Yeah.
Cornerstone is obligated to 4 a year for community activations. So they're obligated to the neighborhood to do 4 activations a year. But everything else they want 34.
Can I, okay,
Please,
so,
please,
so,
yeah.
okay, so, you know, we, like, really, the goal was when we were trying to figure out how to activate the stadium last year, we were thinking like, okay, we need, you know, we kind of like wanted everything. We want like big concerts, we want cool things, we want community oriented stuff. And since it was kind of a slow start and we really were, all of us were learning together, you know, we just got, we got a few events. It was fun. We want more. Okay. So this year we tried to take it on ourselves, like the CRA, so that we can be able to manage that space and like from a community perspective, but kind of balance again, like not everybody can, you know, it is a massive stadium and it costs a lot of money to run. Everybody knows this, but so with that, it's like we want to say there's at a minimum of 6 events that we can subsidize, support with money, with funding and a rental waiver for the stadium. And so like a total, you know, of 15K-ish. And if you want to throw an event there and it's gonna be great and you make a proposal, then it would I mean, we will support you with that.
So Cornerstone has actually directly told us that it is no exceptions aside from the 4.
There's 6, minimum 6.
Okay.
But that will be discussed, those 6 events. It won't be, I can't guarantee that it's gonna be more than that. Because it does just take so much resources to run.
It takes a ton, and I work in events. That's
okay. So you know,
that's my day in, day out, right? So I work with AV. I work with stage crew.
Great,
all the time. The live event industry in Salt Lake is wonderful, and we've got really, really great teams. And there is at the exact same time, knowing how expensive it is to put the lights on, because I have a really strong understanding of that.
Good. Yeah.
You can't pitch it as something that's approachable to the immediate community when Cornerstone is digging their heels in as very recently as, gosh, super recently, like the last couple of weeks, I believe. 30 per event, no wiggle.
That is their market rate. That is their market rate.
So
if you're a pitch grant awardee and you get the subsidization, you know, from the CRA, no, it's not going to be a market rate. I don't know what it will be, but it won't be market rate.
Because there's plenty, like if I wanted to activate a ballpark, I probably wouldn't go to Cornerstone. I'd go to somebody else that could do the exact same level, if not more, activation. Because Cornerstone's not really set up for outside events. There's a lot of teams that are. It's crazy expensive. I'm working with the team on the mayor's watch parties right now. And Dragonfly brought in a bunch of subcontractors on that one. It's not an approachable price point to sell it as something that, you know, just the neighborhood can have a party.
I agree, but like
there's nothing
we can't make the ballpark stadium just a place where we can all go hang out all the time, unfortunately, because of like security and safety and cleanliness and you know what I mean? So I mean, I'm just like we are, I mean, I don't know. We're trying to do, you know.
I'm not ignoring you, I'm getting comments as well.
Is there a
Fraser's got something and Brad Wheeler might as well.
Yes, that is great info. It looks like my name is spelled correctly, so thank you. I have a hard one.
My pleasure.
So please send comments to me. The 45-day period officially ended last week. I'll definitely take comments probably until the week before the planning commission meeting, and then those will appear in the staff report. They'll be at the back of the staff report. There's a public comment section, so the planning commission will be able to review those. And then you can submit them until the day of the meeting, and they'll be sent to the planning commission in advance, so they'll have the opportunity to review them. And then they'll also after that be included so that the council has the opportunity to review them. And then there will be the opportunity for public comments at the planning commission meeting and at the city council meeting. Yes.
Fraser, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I would really appreciate how complicated this is for everyone who's trying to be involved in the stadium activation. And I just want to share that the Ballpark Action Team, which put on 2 events there last year, the Pie and Beer Day and the Field of Screams, and then our little holiday lighting outside, you know, it was a learning experience for us too. I think one thing that kind of mirrors some of the conversation earlier about development is that this is a public asset, and an organization, Cornerstone, has the ability to do some really big events there and make a lot of money. And they're a profitable organization. And they told us in a meeting recently that that's an important part of their mission. And if anyone's going to make money in the stadium, it should be them. And McKenna was at that meeting, and I think we were all a little shocked, but we also appreciated their honesty. So while it kind of in the same vein of what is the community benefit, while this for-profit company, very aligned with SEG and the development going on downtown, is making money and contracted to make money in a facility that's publicly owned, the neighborhood organizations are being asked to, at this point, and I so appreciate, McKenna, your sense that this might be negotiable, but at this point, we'd have to raise $20 million, $20,000 in addition to the funding that the city might potentially give us to hold any kind of event. And that's just, BAT can probably do that because we're a nonprofit, but other organizations can't. And to get to 6 of these, it's going to be very hard with those price points. And my hope is that, McKenna, and as you have your conversations with Cornerstone, and I think we can all reiterate this with them, if they're making a lot of money on an asset that is all of ours, why isn't some of that money being used to subsidize the activities that really were the main point of activating the stadium? I know it's difficult. I know it's complicated. I know it's probably the biggest pain in the neck possible. But, we really want to see the stadium used. And we want to be able to use it ourselves. And I appreciate what you're doing to try and make that happen.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And go get them, go get them. Negotiate hard. Negotiate hard.
Well,
They're making
a
money.
ton, especially for like the fun events that we've had.
Yeah, and I know we've been tough. I know we've been tough negotiators too, but
It's good.
Together, I think we can say to them, you're making a lot of money off of us.
Well, yeah, and that is part of it though. They do need to make money as well. Like, and last year they didn't. And they already have
But
subsidized.
last year they had the $75,000 grant from you guys.
Well, they
That
spent
helped
way
us
over that.
subsidize the
I'll just
community
say.
events.
Yeah.
Well,
it
I'm
was-
glad to hear it.
Yeah, good.
Anyway, I think that this is a topic that we'll have lots of discussions about in the coming months as the contract moves forward. And I really encourage both the Ballpark Community Council and everyone online and to really keep their eye on this, because this is going to be our life for the next probably 3 or 4 years. And I think it's really important that we, keep the stadium active and also keep our eye on the bottom line. Thanks.
I know this is probably too easy. And that there are interested parties in different areas of the city. But Pioneer Park will be partially closed this summer due to construction. And so the downtown farmers market needs a new location this summer. And folks have been exploring closing off streets. Gosh, we have a lovely venue that could use a weekly activation event.
I emailed them on Monday.
What could we do to further support that and suggest that we have a ballpark-sized solution to their problem?
Well, so they responded and they have plans already and they need to stay within the vicinity of their special assessment area to have funds to be able, so the ballpark's outside of that area and we did think it was a great idea, but I just don't think there's constraints that it might not allow for it.
We do benefit already from the downtown ambassadors in our neighborhood. I don't know why that's true, but I'm grateful that it is true.
Yeah.
If there's any way, it just seems like it would be such a wonderful thing to directly benefit the public and our neighborhood.
Yeah.
Amy, are you thinking of maybe a one-time special exemption? Like a little bit of a bump on the boundaries?
I have no thought,
While they've
Kelly.
got,
I
we're under construction downtown.
Well, I will say that the article, Downtown Alliance, they said the article is a little misleading because they do have plans and they kind of know where they're gonna land, so.
Yeah.
That's a pity.
But I mean, I don't know, at least like we opened it, we put it in front of them, they know it's
Yeah,
there
future possibilities.
and I guess, I just, I do kind of think that it's like, you just kind of keep reminding people you're there, just like you guys do for us, like.
I know it's getting late, but Christina, I saw your hand up like 15 minutes ago.
Oh, no, I was just wondering if there was, Fraser answered it. Thank you, Fraser. Thanks.
Got it.
Well, thanks everyone so much. We always appreciate all your comments and, we're in it for the long haul. We're dedicated to making something great happen here and really appreciate all your involvement all along the way, so.
Thank you for spending so much time with us this evening.
Yeah.
I hope you know it's out of neighborhood passion for this issue.
Totally, it's your home. It's your home.
I just have to say you guys are really great. I'm sorry I can't look at you because I'm getting super triggered by that. I'm so sorry. But I really honestly think that, you have been really great. And I do honestly think that coming from a person who often gets stumped by the public, they ask me questions and then I have to go look for the answers and I try and get back to them. We know how horrible and hard it is when you can't really answer those questions. But I do think that what I see uniquely here is so many people are trying to figure out angles on how to get the information to the people that asked us, our constituents. So, we appreciate your work and all the stuff, and it doesn't have anything to do with you all. I just think it goes without saying because I know it's super disheartening.
Yeah.
Right. So
thanks for saying that.
Before we end, does anybody have any, I know it's been really focused on the plan itself, but does anybody have any planning related questions? I know you guys are familiar with the rezone because the area's been rezoned recently. But if anybody has any planning related or application related questions, me or Sarah would be happy to answer them.
I do, but I'm gonna talk
Go ahead.
because these apparently little old ladies are rebellious tonight. I'm concerned about traffic impacts on 13th, particularly if we end up with a hotel there. 13th is a vital corridor. We all know the state's eyeballing our streets here in town. Bless their hearts. And what kind of infrastructure upgrades are we going to need to maintain any kind of decent traffic flow in the area, safe and decent? Because you can't restrict 13th. That freeway connection is just too vital.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not an expert on traffic specifically, so I can't speak for what the transportation department is going to require. If traffic is a concern for you, which it usually is for a rezone.
My business is on Third Way.
Yeah.
Trust me, I lived in the dream for 3 years.
I would recommend putting that, letting the planning commission know and putting that out there. The transportation department, they do their internal review of the plan, and so. Like they've said, it isn't set into what's going to go where yet. Right now, we're just focused on rezoning it so that the potential is there. Once it gets to the building permit phase, once it gets to subdividing, then I assume transportation will be more involved and
And if there's a project that requires design review, I think, if they want something that's over 75 feet or over a certain height, prior to going to planning commission or anything like that, they would get involved. They might require traffic studies or they'll require analysis at that
backwards to me, like before any of this is signed off on, before any developers are enticed to come play with this, I think we need to know what the max capacity is for 1,300, because I'm getting really nervous. I mean, I have a delivery-based business, so.
Can I just say, we did do a traffic study based on the number of units that were like, imagined in this, and I can send it to you.
I'd love that.
And they did
send
say
it to Amy, she can, or me, or all.
Yeah, we'll send
or
everybody. Who wants it?
It's all everyone. It's all independent.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. With
the appendices are long.
The combination of the legislature taking swipes at us, because that's a fun conversation. That's actually why my brain is broken right now. The legislature, but they're taking swipes at the bike lanes, at all the traffic calming, and so we're looking at potentially some pretty expensive requirements from our overlords. I'm really salty tonight, y'all. I'm sorry.
Give it to us. Give it to us.
That one wasn't you. That one was definitely them.
Give it to them.
Which way my point? Where they are. But yeah, I'm real nervous about the infrastructure needs not being spelled out to any stakeholders upfront. And I don't know how much more. 17th can't really take more. 13th can't take a whole lot more. And 13th, when it turns into California, we've got restrictions on heavy vehicles and stuff. So all of our semis are trotting through, headed west on 17th. It doesn't feel like it's going to be super cohesive or a really coherent traffic pattern.
Why don't we have a festival street?
Oh, that's okay, because the people that need to be able to park next to their ADA apartments are gonna love hiking it in from a parking structure. There's already so many problems with parking on West 10 because it's so skinny.
She's told us.
Yeah.
Duh, let's put a sewer down the middle of it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We're all, we're not always mean, but we all have PTSD.
I mean, yeah,
I know
we're
y'all
citizens too,
but we don't want this to turn into teeny weird little sugar house streets that nobody can use.
What a scary this for me.
I mean, and I keep going, we're not downtown, we're not downtown. We kind of are, to be fair. We get the benefits for being on the fringe. But yeah.
I can't think of a more appropriate person to wrap up this meeting than our new council member.
Oh, yes. So, I would just
Thank you, guys.
thank you. I know that these conversations will come up here. I promise I won't stay up here too long. But I know that these conversations are hard. I know that as your neighbor, I've been a part of many of these and I feel the frustration and I feel the concern. But I also just want to say thank you to our city employees who are here after a full day of work, like many of you, coming to receive and hear feedback. So I just want to give them a round of applause and say thank you for hearing. And it's not an easy job, and that my job is to listen to this feedback and listen to what you and neighbors care about and what's on your heart. And so that's why I'm in the back of the room, because I need to listen to that. And so I was taking notes, I'm listening, I'm in conversations frequently with the CRA and with plans for the ballpark neighborhood, and this is one of my top priorities. I want to talk about some of the things I hope to focus on the council. First, I've heard loud and clear, and it came up again tonight, that if we have housing, we want more housing that's for sale, more ownership opportunities, more wealth building opportunities in our neighborhood. So that's gonna be one of my main priorities, and you will hear me be a broken record on that. Something else that you'll hear me be a broken record on is building what's called mixed income neighborhoods. So we have a great amount of affordable housing in our neighborhood, and that's important. But all of the research shows that economic and social mobility happen when people from different income backgrounds are bumping up against each other, whether it's at the park or in their neighborhood or in the buildings that they're living in. So that will be a constant refrain you'll hear from me. Couple things that is also really important to me is that we have safe and welcoming green spaces for us. And I know we've got our mighty, but happening Jefferson Park. I'm excited for the investments that are coming to that park that are related to safety and continued activation. I think there's more to come there, as well as ensuring that Liberty Park is a safe and active place for all of us to gather. I know that community safety is something that's important to this neighborhood. It's important to me personally, and some of our long-standing challenges in our community are connected to vacant and blighted housing. And so I'm actively looking at how we can strengthen our existing ordinances to crack down on some of those vacant and blighted houses and really push absentee property owners to activate those properties or face hopefully what will be increasing fines that will then further that action. In my nerdland, but you'll see some of the connections to it all, I care a lot about emergency preparedness. Who felt the earthquake that we had just a couple weeks ago? Raise your hand. How many people were like, oh crap, I gotta get my earthquake kit ready. How am I gonna get out? So there was another one that happened today. And the reality, I think it was a 3.2 up in Saratoga Springs. I didn't feel that one. But the reality is that we live in a place where the big one will come. And we need to make sure that we are ready as citizens to respond, because as fantastic and hunky as all of our firefighters are, they're going to be totally, I can't call them hunky, all of them, no in particular, all of them. I think it's a requirement to be a firefighter because it says courage. But as capable as our first responders are, they will be totally overwhelmed. They'll be totally overwhelmed. And so it's important that we as community members are ready to take care of each other and ready to respond. So you'll hear me talk a lot about emergency preparedness. Last but certainly not least, it's very important to me that we're moving forward Ballpark Next, that we're prioritizing community voices, and that we maintain public ownership of those lands. Now, I'll be honest with you. If we said, you know what, we want this development to happen tomorrow, or we want the new plan to come to vision tomorrow, the fast and easy way is to sell it. But once you sell that public land, it's gone forever. And so because the city, if I am committed to retaining public ownership of that land and doing things like long-term ground leases to allow for that development, it does complicate the process a little bit more. But I think that's a complication I'm willing to sit with and go to bat for. Okay, and I'll stick around for questions at the end. There are a number of current issues that I'm paying attention to and you likely are paying attention to as well. We have received a lot of public comment at our gatherings related to immigration and customs enforcement in our neighborhoods. Salt Lake City does not have what's called a 287G agreement, which is a working agreement working with ICE. Salt Lake City PD has made it clear that that's not within the realm of what they're trying to do. They're trying to ensure the public safety of all of their residents. Immigration enforcement efforts are a federal issue. They're affecting us in our neighborhoods right now. It doesn't mean that we as city council and community members can't do something about it. The city council is creating a working group composed of the business community, community members, legal entities, and nonprofit organizations to talk about what might be within our city authority to do on this important issue. And I'm committed that whoever lives in District 5 or in Salt Lake City knows that they have a police department and a city that is committed to their safety and their well-being. regardless of their immigration status. Couple other things that I want to flag for you as coming up and coming down the pike. We will be going into budget season. Anybody know? Pop quiz. When does the city council receive the proposed budget from the mayor? Amy can't answer. I know Amy knows.
I don't have the exact date. Sometimes this coincides with sort of like the end of the semester, so I tune out a little bit while I'm submitting.
Fair enough, fair enough. So the mayor proposes the budget. The mayor will deliver the budget to Salt Lake City Council for approval in April.
Oh yeah, final exams.
And we have to pass a balanced budget June 30th. So what that means is that I see an opportunity for more residents to understand how our city budget works, to understand what are our revenues and what are our expenses. And no surprise to anybody living in our economy, everything's going up. And so we have to think about how do we tackle those trade-offs. So I'm going to be offering a City Budget 101 workshop. We'll see who decides to show up in April. And the intention is really so that more citizens feel empowered to ask questions about where their tax dollars are going, and that you have an opportunity to voice what you care about in those budget processes. But I think the first thing begins with education. Second thing, I do want to flag, zoning is the topic of conversation tonight. And as Amy mentioned, at last month's meeting, Housing Authority came to talk about a rezone of some of their properties. Now, that went before the Planning Commission. And for some reason, I can't quite understand, the Planning Commission went beyond what the applicant, the Housing Authority, was requesting.
Highest and best use.
So I disagree with that. So I would like to push for the zoning that was requested of the applicant, which was MU5, not MU8. So I'll be going through the process around that, but just to flag, that's where I stand on that particular issue.
Having a psych about your workshop.
Yes, okay, so tentative, save the date, April 8th at the public library. But it's gonna be capped. We only have seating for about 30 some odd people, so it's gonna be the hottest place in town. And so once they have it, I know, there'll be lines out the door, ready for it.
Outdoor seating.
Likely at 6 o'clock, outdoor seating. I know, we're all gonna be camped out talking about it. Likely 6 o'clock. But hang tight. Okay.
With the rezone, I think the property to the south where the existing development is was zoned MU8.
Correct.
And so they didn't want to see, like they wanted it to be the same.
I think it was a strange meeting. It was a strange conversation. I have some questions about why that went that direction when it wasn't what the applicant requested. So I'll be voicing that concern. Yes.
I'm just giving you 2 thumbs up for asking those questions and sort of pinning down the public process around that specific thing. So
Yes.
thanks, Erika. Because I
Yes.
mean, if that sets a precedent across the city,
Yes.
that's going to affect a lot of folks who are doing this community outreach work. So
Yes.
Thank you, Erika.
Yeah.
And there was a staff person there who said that they could do that. It was in the ordinance.
Recommend a higher zone.
That they're able to do that, but the Planning Commission did recommend MU5 in their report as well. The MU8,
I thought.
Planning department.
oh, sorry, the planner who was present at the presenter stage.
Right.
Thank you. Sorry, y'all, it's getting late for me too. I will stick around for more questions. I'll be here. But I am accountable to you. I may not always make decisions that you agree with, but I'm making decisions with your voice in mind. And I'm also keeping in mind the voices of the residents who are to come to Salt Lake City. I recognize any decision that we make has long-term consequences. And so it's about being accountable to those long-term consequences. But in my oath of office and in my guiding light, I'm asking myself, how can I be a good ancestor to Salt Lake City? how can I think about decisions that I make today that 50 years from now, I feel proud and grateful that I made the right decision because it was grounded in community voices. So that's my North Star. And I'm here and I want to listen to you and I want to be accountable to you. So thank you all so much. And thank you so much, Chair Amy Hawkins, for giving me an opportunity to speak tonight.
Happy to. Let's wrap it up.
Yep.
Thank you all for your time. I hope you don't have anything really early on Friday. Thank you, Online Lands.
I'm sorry, the ballpark, D5, slogan is D5.
You know, I know this.
I know, I've been having a lot of coffee.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,